Chapter 10, Setting a Marketing Budget. How do you put a price on success? Now that we've shown you all the ways you can market your practice, you probably feel like a kid in a candy store. Or maybe that's the wrong metaphor to use in dentistry. There are a million ways to market a single dental care practice, and each of them will have a different price tag. Whether it's websites, direct mailers, or Super Bowl blimps, they all cost money. The blimps especially. Deciding how much to spend and where that money should go is a fine art, and one we're going to help you master in the coming chapter. Before we get into the details, it's important for you to understand that it would be statistically impossible for us to communicate the right budget and budget allocation for your particular practice. There are just way too many variables involved. We use 26 different considerations when developing a marketing plan for our clients. And since all dental practices and their markets are different, we're taking 26 to the 26th power. Now that's a lot of variables. However, we can communicate the basic principles of sound budget allocation and distribution. We'll show you how to work out an appropriate budget range for your overall marketing activities. And we'll also show you how to determine where your budget would be best spent based on the risks involved in each medium compared to the potential returns on investment. More importantly, you'll learn how to avoid the most common budgeting pitfalls, also known as the 7 deadly sins. These are the false economies, bad decisions, and newbie mistakes that can derail the most well-intentioned marketing strategies and waste your precious time and money. Don't let the 7 deadly sins undermine your success. Developing a marketing budget is part science, part art. It's numerical calculations plus intuition plus experience. This means there are no hard and fast rules for predicting success, but there are rules set in cold, hard stone for avoiding failure. By committing any of the 7 deadly sins when setting your marketing budget, you will jeopardize your marketing success, guaranteed. So please commit these to memory. Write them down and carry them in your wallet. Throw out the photos of your kids to make room for them if you need to. Get them tattooed on your bicep. They're that important. Sin number 1, not having a budget at all. Sin number 2, reducing the budget when business picks up. Sin number 3, waiting until business is slow to allocate a budget. Sin number 4, having a budget but not funding it fully. Sin number 5, having a budget but not allocating it properly. Sin number 6, having a budget but not calculating your return on investment. Sin number 7, letting CPAs, practice managers, or other dentists dictate what your budget should be. Let's take a closer look at these truly nefarious marketing sins. Sin number 1, not having a budget at all. We get to meet and talk to hundreds of dentists each year. If you were to take a guess at how many of these dentists tell us they have a definitive annual marketing budget for their practice, what would you guess? 10 out of 100? 40 out of 100? 80 out of 100? Well, it's actually none of the above. We wish the number were as high as 10 out of 100. In fact, only 2 or 3 dentists in 100 can instantly communicate their annual promotional budget for their dental practice. Why is this? We suspect it's because many dentists still have a deep reluctance to view their practice as a business that needs to be promoted, publicized, and advertised just like any other, even though it's a health service and an indispensable one at that. Now, if you do not believe your dental practice is a business, please call us and ask for a full refund for this book. Ship the book back, and we will gladly refund your money. Seriously, this book will do you absolutely no good if you do not believe dentistry is a business. If, after reading up to this point in the book, you still believe your credentials and the excellent dental service you provide is enough to attract and retain a growing number of clients, even in a competitive market, and even though the public has a limited understanding of what you can offer them, Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. Thanks for your time. For the rest of you, we'll reiterate once more, for emphasis, of course, dentistry is a business, and every business needs an annual marketing budget. Let's take a moment to look at the real business world. Which of the following companies does not have an annual marketing budget? Coca-Cola, Budweiser, Geico, Nike, Johnson & Johnson, Colgate-Palmolive, Delta Dental, Discus Dental, Walmart, Microsoft, Comcast, Disney, Ford, McDonald's, the pizza place down the street, the kids who sell lemonade on the corner during summer break. Okay, we give up. We cannot find any other business that does not have a promotion or marketing budget. Even the kids selling lemonade know they have to invest in a pack of sidewalk chalk to market their product to local foot traffic. For some reason, only dentists persist in believing they don't need a marketing budget. If you're one of them, please list all of the reasons you believe dentists should not have an annual marketing budget in the following note field below. Did you write everything down? Good. Whatever you wrote down, it's totally wrong-headed, and if you tear out this page and send it to us, we will personally contact you and prove to you why it's wrong. Go ahead, send it. You'll find our contact details on the back page somewhere. All dental offices, regardless of their situation, should establish an annual marketing budget, period. No exceptions. Nothing makes you more special than the major global brands we listed above, the pizza place, or even the lemonade kids. Marketing is an integral part of a healthy, growing business of any kind. Sins number 2 and 3, reducing the budget when business picks up and waiting until business is slow to allocate a budget. Since these are flip sides of the same devilish coin, we'll deal with them simultaneously. Your marketing budget is not a Band-Aid. When your business is ailing, you don't slap some money on the problem and hope that makes it better. It won't. Marketing doesn't work like that. Your marketing efforts need to be funded consistently over the long term to ensure maximum benefits. The spikes and dips in your business shouldn't affect your marketing strategy or your marketing budget. Otherwise, you get locked into a short-term reactive cycle that wastes time and money. Here's an example. You're not getting enough patients, so you decide to throw $1,000 at the problem. You buy a big color ad in the local newspaper, but the phone still doesn't ring. Guess what? A single newspaper ad isn't going to get the phone ringing. You need to build awareness over time by exposing the public to that ad over a long period of time, maybe even months. And for every single one of those months, you're going to now be sitting on your thumbs and losing revenue instead of working on new patients. If you had set a consistent marketing budget in the first place, you wouldn't be playing catch-up and wasting valuable time. Conversely, you don't want to take away your marketing dollars when your business starts to pick up. Sure, you're doing well now, but couldn't you always do a bit better? And what are you doing to safeguard the patient revenues for the future? This kind of short-term thinking can land you back in a situation where business declines and you are left scrambling to fix the problem. Instead of seeing your marketing budget as a Band-Aid, see it as a vitamin pill. It's not a short-term fix. It's a daily part of your prevention regime. Even when you wake up feeling great, you remember to take your vitamins so that you don't wake up feeling rotten the next day. With a consistently allocated marketing budget, you know your marketing strategy is working for you day in and day out. Let's skip to sin number 7 for a second. Sins 4 through 6 are going to take up a fair bit of time, so we just like to get sin number 7 out of the way. Other dentists, CPAs, and practice management professionals are all smart, insightful people who can help you make your business better. Salt of the earth, we love them. But none of them has ever managed marketing budgets for dentists. It's just not what they do. We have seen dentists get bad marketing advice from lots of different quarters. Dentists share anecdotes about what worked for Fred or Elaine or Ralph without actually knowing how it worked or whether it really did work as well as Fred or Elaine or Ralph told them it did. Or they tell you all the time about some great marketing gimmick that worked great for them. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But borrowing another dentist's great marketing idea is like borrowing their shoes. It's just not going to fit. Every practice is unique, and marketing is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. We have seen CPAs constrict promotion budgets down to nothing because their focus is on saving you money or making your business fiscally healthy, not on helping you grow it through the magic of marketing. They just don't get it, and they never will be happy to see you wasting money on marketing until they see the revenue rolling in thanks to your marketing activities. And we have seen practice management folks try to dabble in promoting their client practices as well. Their hearts are in the right places, but this is not what they do best, or second best, or even third best. All of these people have the best of intentions. All of them want to see you succeed, but none of them is qualified to tell you how much to spend on marketing and what to spend that money on. For marketing advice, please leave it to the marketing professionals. And we promise we won't try giving you advice on filing taxes, training staff, and buying dental equipment, or anything other than pure marketing. Do we have a deal? Sins 4 through 6. You have a budget, but you're not making it work for you. Let's assume that you have the good sense to assign an annual marketing budget because you recognize the need for consistent strategic marketing to support your business. Congratulations, you're in the minority of dentists. But you may still be wasting money and missing great opportunities because you're still guilty of deadly sins 4 through 6. You may not be allocating enough funding to your marketing efforts, or you may not be allocating funding to the right places. And finally, you may be missing that final critical feedback loop that helps you recognize today's successes and determine tomorrow's strategy, calculating your return on investment. So let's start by looking at how to calculate a healthy, effective marketing budget. Yes, there is a magic formula, and here it is in its most basic form. Marketing budget equals previous 12-month revenues times 5% to annual goal revenue times 5%. In plain language, you should allocate an annual marketing budget that falls between 5% of your actual revenues for the year and 5% of your goal revenues for the year. This formula should be used for practices that have been in business at least 5 years and that earn $1.5 million or less per year. For instance, if you own a solo GP practice that earned revenues of $600,000 last year and you would like to grow your revenues to $800,000 per year, your annual marketing budget range would be between $30,000 and $40,000. If your practice has been in business at least 5 years and earns more than $1.5 million per year, you follow the exact same formula as above to determine your first year's marketing budget range. Then for each subsequent year that you see an increase in business, you will actually decrease your marketing budget by 0.25 of a percentage point. For instance, if your practice earned revenues of $2 million last year and you would like to grow your revenues to $2.5 million, your first year's marketing budget range would be between $100,000 and $125,000. If your revenues went up to $2.1 million in the second year, your marketing budget range for that second year would be between $99,750, $2.1 million times 4.75%, and $118,750, that's $2.5 million times 4.75%. Here's an example. Baseline, $2 million actual revenues, $2.5 million goal revenues. Year 1 budget, $2 million actual, $100,000 to $125,000, $2 million times 5%, to $2.5 million times 5%. Year 2 budget, $2.1 million actual, $99,750 to $118,750. That would be $2.1 million times 4.75 to $2.5 million times 4.75. And this would continue as long as you're increasing your revenues. Essentially, larger practices should be able to grow their revenues while reducing their marketing budget year over year. Over the years, they will find the budget floor, a spending limit below which business growth begins to stagnate. When you find your budget floor, you can simply add 0.25% to the budget the following year to jumpstart growth. These are very general guidelines based on average marketing expenditures, but following these calculations will allow you to estimate the kind of marketing budget you'll need to achieve your revenue goals. Help, how do I spend my money? Here, let us help you with that big pile of money. The formula to determine your marketing budget range is pretty simple, isn't it? All you need is a dollar store calculator to figure it out. Heck, you can practically use your fingers and toes. But figuring out the best way to spend that money is a little more complicated. First, there's a difference between budgeting and cash flow reality. Let's say your budget should be $50,000 a year. You don't necessarily have to have $50K sitting in the bank. Just make sure you have about $4K per month allocated within your practice cash flow. See the difference? You want to spread your promotional efforts throughout the year anyway, so it only makes sense to spread out the funding. Now, the first year of establishing a marketing budget and sticking to it will be the hardest. It always is for all of our clients. After the first year, assuming you have allocated and spent the budget wisely, you'll start to see this type of spending like a utility bill, a regular and necessary expense that you hardly even notice. So how do you allocate your budget wisely? You start by making a plan and sticking to it. Think about your savings or retirement investments. Your financial advisor uses the word allocate to determine how much of your savings to put into high risk, medium risk, and low risk investments. By spreading your savings across investments with different exposures to risk, you can diversify and minimize the overall risk you take, while taking advantage of riskier investments with potentially big payoffs. The exact same principles are at work when it comes to your marketing budget allocation. Your marketing budget is an investment, just like your retirement investment. And like your retirement investments, your marketing investment comes with some level of risk. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. By controlling your allocation, you have total control over the size of the risk you take with your marketing dollar. But where should a dentist start investing their marketing dollars? Which mediums provide the most impact and the least risk? And which mediums complement one another well and achieve better synergistic results together? The answers to these questions really depend on your starting point. Since nearly every reader of this book is going to have a different starting point, it makes sense for us to list the investments in low risk to high risk order. If you're just starting to explore marketing options, you're going to want to know that your marketing expenditures will pay off with an immediate impact on your business. If your marketing campaign has been running for a few years with good success, you are in a position to be able to experiment with marketing mediums that are riskier, but also offer some pretty spectacular potential gains. Let's take a look at the risk factors associated with each medium and look at ways to diversify and minimize the risk to your marketing investment. Low, moderate, and high-risk mediums for direct response marketing. Before we drill down into the 3 risk levels for your marketing budget, we need to clarify that the focus in this section is on the risks involved in eliciting a direct response using various mediums, as opposed to establishing brand familiarity. We chose this focus because most dentists are more interested in marketing strategies designed to elicit a direct response from potential patients than they are in more general brand building activities. Low-risk mediums. Internal promotion. Internal promotion, or promoting your dental practice through referrals from existing patients, is one of the best and most efficient forms of marketing and a very low-risk activity if done correctly. However, few practices can rely solely on referrals to grow at an acceptable rate. It's also not a good idea to constantly hammer your existing patients with promotional materials. But if you are like many dentists, you probably haven't done as much as you could with this reliable way to build your business. and you certainly shouldn't ignore its value. This would be a good place to allocate some marketing dollars each year. 5% or less of your marketing budget should be enough. Risk level, very low. Upside, risk-free and reliable. Downside, very slow growth, could irritate your patients. Next up is on-location signage. Here's one that dentists overlook all the time. There is virtually zero risk involved in putting up well-designed signage in front of your dental practice, including banners, sandwich boards, and window designs. If depreciated over the life of your practice, the cost is next to nothing. Once your sign is designed and installed, no additional budget allocation is needed. Inexpensive, very low risk, and minimal upkeep expenses are all good things. If you don't have a sign yet, and there is almost any amount of foot or automobile traffic that can see your sign, you're missing a potentially great opportunity. If you do not have signage and it is warranted, allocate some marketing budget toward it. The risk level, very low. Upside, low cost, negligible ongoing costs. Downside, higher initial costs. Next up is practice website. The risk level with a website is typically low, but it really is dependent on how it is designed, what it communicates, how many visitors visit the site, and whether the site has the ability to convert visitors into new patient phone calls. Even a bad dental website should produce one patient from time to time. Let's set the practice website at 5% risk and 95% upside, just to put it into perspective. Your practice website is going to be your best secondary promotion medium, which means that all of your external and internal promotion will refer people to your website. A certain number of those people will go to your website to check you out. And in turn, a certain number will be converted into new patient phone calls. A good website and an effective web marketing strategy is a foundational staple of your overall marketing campaign. And if you do it poorly or don't do it at all, the costs to you in terms of a lost opportunity are staggering. You should likely allocate about 10% of your budget each year to your website and internet marketing. Risk level, low. Upside, potentially your best source of new patient contact. Downside, needs to be done well. A bad site and poor search engine position are major lost opportunities. The next one is direct mail. As we discussed in Chapter 7, direct mail is one of the most effective forms of advertising we use for our clients. In fact, we achieve success in 96% of all U.S. markets with our direct mail campaigns. Amazing, huh? Direct mail is also by far the least risky external marketing medium available to you. That doesn't mean you can focus on direct mail alone. It needs to be used as part of an overall marketing strategy. But if you want to diversify the allocation of your marketing budget, direct mail is a great place to invest and presents the least risk of all external mediums. If you are not actively promoting your dental practice and are considering doing so for the first time, this is a great place to start. Risk level, low. Upside, successful in most markets, great return on investment. Downside, takes time to build momentum, some upfront costs. Moderate risk mediums. Print media. Print media can mean almost anything that is physically held and read by consumers near your dental practice. Newspapers and magazines are likely the first two to come to mind in this category, but there are many others. You may have a local subdivision nearby with a monthly community newsletter. That would be considered print media. In general, this medium can be feast or famine. We have had clients deploy the same basic newspaper insert in the same basic market for over a dozen years and enjoy wild success every time. We have also seen the other side. In some markets, it takes us 2 or 3 attempts to find a print media outlet that provides a sustainable and consistent return. That's why print media comes with a 62% success rate. However, once you find the winning formula, This medium can be a high-performing, reliable part of your marketing mix. We recommend looking at print media once you have exhausted the potential of lower-risk mediums. Risk level, moderate. Upside, ROI can be high on a successful ad or insert. Downside, may take time and money to find the right print venue. Higher risk mediums. Higher risk mediums should be considered once you have fully explored the potential of low and moderate risk mediums. Mass media. Mass media include television, radio, billboards, and yellow pages. In general, and without the support of the low and moderate risk mediums described above, you are looking at a 44% success rate. So do not allocate and diversify into mass media until you have fully exploited less risky mediums and are generating a reasonable return on investment. There are circumstances where you might want to use mass media at an accelerated pace to initially generate familiarity with your dental practice. Low, moderate, high, putting it all together and finding the right mix. Finding the balance between mediums with different risk levels and knowing when to pull each one into your marketing mix can be confusing. So we wanted to give you a concrete example that shows you exactly how the principles of diversifying risk looks like when applied to a dentist's long-term marketing activities. We'll use Dr. Smith as our example and show you how we would determine and allocate her marketing budget. Dr. Smith is your basic average dentist. Her practice is general. She practices in an average market, and she is average in terms of her competitiveness with other dentists in her area. Dr. Smith has owned her practice for 5 years and has invested very little in promoting her practice during this time. Here is how we would counsel Dr. Smith to set and allocate her marketing budget over the next 6 years to support very healthy growth. Marketing budget year 1. Actual revenues, $600,000. Goal revenues, $800,000. Budget range, $30,000 to $40,000. Proposed budget allocation, 5% internal projects, such as referrals, 15% website, internet marketing, 80% external projects, targeted direct mail. Rationale. In the early years of Dr. Smith's new marketing campaign, she needs to focus on low-risk mediums while taking advantage of marketing mediums whose potential she hasn't even begun to explore. Mass media is not an option because it's too high risk, and because the budget won't stretch to cover both mass media and the supportive mediums, referrals, direct mail, and web marketing. She would need to see good results from her mass media marketing efforts. For the next 3 years, Dr. Smith would recalculate the budget based on the formula described earlier in the chapter and would allocate the budget the same way. Now, we'll flash forward 3 years to the next phase. Marketing budget year 3. Actual revenues, $900,000. Goal revenues, $1.1 million. Budget range, $45,000 to $55,000. Proposed budget allocation, 5% internal projects, referrals, 15% website or internet marketing, 50% external projects, targeted direct mail, 30% print media. Rationale. Dr. Smith's practice has grown over the past 3 years, and although her marketing tactics are still working for her, there is more room in the annual budget to diversify into the next logical medium, moderate risk print media. This, of course, assumes that her website and her continual direct mail campaign are still providing positive return. If she is doing it appropriately, it will be. Now let's flash forward another 3 years. Marketing budget year 6. Actual revenues, $1.3 million. Goal revenues, $1.6 million. Budget range, $65,000 to $80,000. Proposed budget allocation, 5% internal projects, referrals, 10% website or internet marketing, 30% external projects, targeted direct mail, 20% print media, 35% mass media. Rationale. Dr. Smith's practice has grown even more as her marketing efforts have paid off. She will still funnel a portion of her marketing budget into the low-risk mediums that continue to perform well for her. But now that her revenues have increased and she has a bigger overall marketing budget, she can afford to diversify into higher-risk mass mediums. In the coming years, she will have the luxury of taking slightly bigger risks with her marketing budget without cutting into her bottom line, allowing her to experiment in these mediums to find a formula that offers higher ROI than the lower-risk mediums. Summary. Throughout these first 6 years, Dr. Smith relied on reliable, low-risk marketing fundamentals to increase her practice. Tactics such as referral campaigns, web marketing, and direct mail gave her solid returns and helped her grow her revenue and her marketing budget. As her marketing mix evolved to make the most of a growing marketing budget and a maturing strategy, she started allocating an increasing portion of the budget to higher-risk mediums. Being covered in a wider range of mediums allows her to benefit from the synergy that happens when wider coverage increases and focuses consumer awareness. Participating in higher-risk mediums also allows her to benefit from potentially higher returns on her marketing dollars without exposing her to unacceptable risk. Every practice area presents its own unique marketing challenges, so no two marketing strategies will be exactly identical. However, the example above illustrates the fundamental principles of marketing budget allocation and provides a good general guideline in helping you minimize risk and make the best use of your marketing dollars. Let's recap what we've learned in this chapter. If you've learned one thing in this chapter, it's that you must have a marketing budget. Remember the 7 deadly sins? If you've forgotten them already, check your bicep. They should be tattooed there. You must set a budget each year and stick to it, whether your business goes up, down, or sideways. We showed you the magic formula for determining your marketing budget range. You need an amount that's at least 5% of your previous 12-month revenues and no greater than 5% of your goal annual revenues. We also showed you how to adjust your marketing budget optimally over the years as your revenues grow. Once you've set your budget, you'll need to allocate it in a way that minimizes the risk to your investment. Start with the low-risk fundamentals, referral campaigns, direct mail, a website, and internet marketing. Then, as your marketing activities mature over the years, you can move into moderate and high-risk activities safely. What's next? Now that you know how to protect your marketing investment by deploying each medium strategically, you'll want to know how to calculate the returns on your carefully deployed investment. In the next chapter, we'll show you how to calculate the success rates and financial returns on your marketing activities. You'll be surprised at how many disastrous mistakes people make in this area.